All right, so here we go with an audio I didn't remember I fucking had. An acclaimed, psychologist, Dr. Charles Sophy, Sophy. Google him. Yeah. So, he came to my house when I was, having my, 3 episodes with Dr. Phil. We also had a telephone conversation, and I happened upon our interview. Yeah. Here it goes. There you are. Having a snack.
So bring me up to speed.
Let's see. Oh, you were like the state star witness.
This doesn't make any sense because I was there only for 20 minutes. Normally when they do something like that.
No, they loved your notes, trust me. It was all about your notes.
Which presents a problem. But tell me more.
Well, this whole medication thing, right? So that's why they were like, when they got your notes, they were like having big wet dreams all over. Oh, look! Even the state guy said it at the end. Wetner says she should be on meds. She's not on meds.
Well, the letter doesn't say she should, but okay.
Listen. So then, Whiteley testifies that my symptoms are not severe enough to need meds.
Right.
That's what he said. But he said he was going to recommend them, but now that I'm pregnant, it's just not severe enough to do that.
Okay.
But nobody cares. They're still like, you didn't go to therapy enough. You didn't go every week. I'm like, who said I was supposed to go every week and not miss a week, right? But then they're saying, oh, that's for DBT, which hasn't even started yet, right? Because when you're in the groups,
DBT is highly structured.
they want you to have therapy once a week because something might come up during DBT or something. I don't know. They have this rule.
It's highly structured. There are a lot of rules that you have to follow to the letter.
I'm okay with that, but the point is this is what it was. Bottom line, even though they wanted to use you as a star witness, then they got screwed because I got pregnant, and Whiteley saying, "Well, she shouldn't be on this." Here's what at the end of the day.
Okay.
The judge was like, "It hasn't been enough time. Shame on you for filing a motion." Yeah, okay. The kids have been in custody for 10.5 months, right? Oh my God! So it hasn't been enough time. But this is what really is the real thing that's in the background.
Okay.
My relationship with my husband.
Okay.
So meanwhile, even though he's moving out of the country, you know what the judge said? This was my takeaway. So all this trial was crap, right? None of it mattered. Because before it was even my turn to present my case, he'd already made up his mind. Before he even looked at any evidence, the judge was just like, too soon. And he said, I said, we're not even together. Meanwhile, my husband's there going, yeah, we're done, right?
Well, if you're done, well, to be fair, if you were done, you wouldn't be pregnant.
That means nothing.
That means a lot.
Oh my God.
To a court case which is involving children, that means everything.
The point of the matter is, they don't have jurisdiction for the relationship. They don't even have a case on that. It was all about me. So this is what he said. So how do I know, he says, that you won't get an in-home plan and that your husband's not just in the country of Panama, by the way, setting things up and waiting for you. My God, I'll never get the kids back if they're going to do that. They're going to go, but you could get back together. Do you understand this mentality, how this is upsetting?
Well, here's my take on it, and here's the problem. I did look at your request. I did look at the Dr. Phil things. And Dr. Phil is absolutely correct, and so are the state people. You need to stop.
I'm not saying they're not correct.
Well, you need to stop making all this activity and doing all these things and pushing and saying, well, yes, but technically no, but technically not.
That I get. I agree with that.
Yeah, but the court, for example, the court thing, bringing the court thing, that's not following the rules. That's actually making.
That's the part I don't understand because I needed to get clarification on what I need to do. So what do I need to do?
Doesn't matter. What you need to do, one of the things they're saying you need to not do is you need to not be doing all this legal stuff. You need to not be saying, okay, well, what about this? Well, technically this. Well, technically it's a Tuesday and not a Monday, and so technically it means this.
Right. I get that.
They're seeing too much activity, too much whirlwind.
Right.
And
I'm realizing that.
Unfortunately, one of the problems, there are a couple of problems. One is, by being pregnant by law, you have now drastically complicated the situation. Drastically.
How is that drastically? You already have 3 kids together.
You have 3 kids that are in custody. Okay, so for example, let's say that I have a gambling problem, and then I inherit a large amount of money. And I said, well, how is that a problem? Because you have a gambling problem. You have a problem with kids. Doesn't matter whether you agree with it or not. The state's involved.
Now I know.
You bring another kid into the mix, the state's going to look at you and go, are you nuts?
I explained that to the judge. How was I supposed to plan an IUD wouldn't stay in my uterus?
That's not
it. Was just, it happened. It was like the freaking God decided to make my IUD come out of my uterus.
But
it was not planned.
That's the problem. You shouldn't have been even together. The two of you were separated. You can't tell the judge. You can't tell the judge you're not together, and then do things that act as though you're together.
See,
you are in the spotlight, not just because of the Dr. Phil, but because the state's got your scent. You have no choice. If they tell you to stand on one foot and spin around and jump up and down, if you say, well, technically, that's not my foot, technically that's my heel, the state is not going to be pleased.
But I've been doing that. They never said to not have any contact with Bond. They never said that. That was never an issue. They didn't even have a petition against that guy. They made him do no services.
Yes, but
that was the confusing message.
Well, it's the message you gave.
I visited him.
One of your arguments consistently to them has been, you and Lon are not together.
Yeah, we're not. We're not living together. We're not. We were separated while we were working on our issues. So we had sex. That means nothing. It's just
again, gambler,
right.
Inheritance, children,
I get that.
Pregnancy.
Right. So now I get that. I get their position, and what I didn't get was that they wanted 0 contact whatsoever. I got that when the kids were back, either with me or with Juan or whatever, that we wouldn't be together in the same home as a married family. I did not know that they meant don't even talk to him, don't have a friendship, don't talk about your kids, just cut off all contact. To me, it was confusing.
They're not really saying that.
Yes, they did in person. They did tell me that.
Well, now, yes.
Yeah, now.
Now, because all this time you've been saying, one of the reasons that you're ready to move forward is that you and Lon are not together.
No, I said that being in a romantic relationship with him affected my mental health.
And you just got pregnant in a romantic relationship.
Was just a mishap.
It doesn't matter.
Also, it's because he was
supposed to be... It was just a mishap, officer. I just happened to be by the bank and I stole the money.
But listen, here's the problem with talking to you in DHS. When I go talk to women at Women's Space and the people there, they get it. And they're not sitting there going, but you. They're like, Minnie, this is why you were with Juan 3 months ago and thought he was going to change. This is it. This is the mentality. This is how it works. And I understand that. When I go talk to DHS, they're just like, yeah, we don't get it. It's common sense. Why are you with this guy? It's blah, 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 blah. So that's the problem that I'm facing. So luckily,
so what do they want? What do they want?
I have a caseworker. I'm going to bring her to the meeting with me from Women's Space. Because I think that's part of the problem. There are these people who have not been in abusive type situations who are just like, we don't get it. We're from the outside looking in and we don't understand this, problem. So I have a meeting with them in January. I'm going to bring my alcohol counselor because that's another thing. These DHS casework, it's like, I'm trying to say, you guys don't get alcohol plus my relationship was tumultuous affects my mental health. Me, without the alcohol, without the relationship, should be looked at now going forward as separate. And so that's what I'm trying to get across. And everybody's lumping me into well, you're just a mental wreck. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a mental wreck when I'm being abused, hit, emotionally abused every day, and raped, and my son's being abused in front of my eyes, and I can't do anything about it. That's when I am a mental wreck. That's what I'm sure that nobody's getting, and it's like mind-boggling.
Right, but that doesn't change the fact that you have a challenge ahead of you. You've got the kids, and bottom line, if you want the kids, you have to not be such a whirlwind of controversy. You can't,
I get that. Now I'm trying to not be a controversy whirlwind. I didn't do it on purpose.
The trial was just less than a few weeks ago. You don't get it yet.
The trial? Why did I have a right to request a review hearing?
See, that's the problem.
That's what I didn't get.
But that's the problem. The court says, okay, you need to do this, and you say yes, and now you're telling me, yes, I totally get it. But then you go and you file a court motion. Then you go.
No, that's because what you don't get is the court in June 6 months ago ruled, go get a psych eval, stop drinking, and that was 6 months ago. I've been through treatment, that was 6 months ago, and I went and got a psych eval, and I started, and I thought, gee, we should check in with the court to see what else you want to do.
But here's the problem. By doing that, you're doing two things. One, you're making a whirlwind. You let them come to that decision. You let them decide. If it takes them 8 months or 10 months or 12 months, let them do it, because we're talking about your kids here.
Well, I do not understand that concept because they were not calling a review hearing or telling me what I need to do.
Doesn't matter.
That was the problem. It was like, what am I supposed to do?
And here's the problem. You defend your rights and your points of view, and you've got good points, but you did the same exact thing with the alcohol.
Yeah, that's true.
And you did the same exact thing on Dr. Phil. In fact, you went to Dr. Phil and you said, I didn't mention this in court because I didn't ask. I'm glad they didn't ask. He asked you, are you medication compliant? You said, yes, I'm taking all my meds. No, you're not.
When did he ask me that? I was medication compliant. That's what you're confused about. Your notes are wrong. I went to see Anthony Pax in August. That's the issue I have with you. You were like, I don't know. He's the one that gave me the Ativan, and he told me not to go on bipolar meds. You forgot this whole thing. He said, let's do some blood work, let's check your vitamin D and your anemia, which was horrible, before he prescribed anything. And I told you, I said, we talked about something called Latuda. You just forgot this whole thing, and then you write these wackadoodle notes about me. That I went to somebody. He is a prescriber. You're the one that said.
You saw how many, but you also saw the chief psychiatrist of the witness of the case.
When I was already pregnant and couldn't take meds. That's what you missed too. I was already pregnant when I saw him.
But when I wrote those, you were not pregnant.
No, you were gone the whole month of September. You wrote those in July and August when I was seeing Anthony Pax, who told me not to take psychiatric meds. He was like, I was seeing him, he was like, okay, so let's evaluate this, let's go get your lab work back. So then I got my lab work back, and he looked at it and he was like, yeah, let's figure this out. Then I went to my primary doctor, who was talking about doing some kind of freaking bone marrow aspiration to figure out this blood work. So I was doing all this before I complicated with meds. That's the part you missed. You were gone the whole month of September. And then when I went to see Whiteley, I was already found out I was pregnant, like the day before. I didn't see that guy. So I'm not going to go in there when I already know I have this new pregnancy that I can't take meds and say, hey, give me a prescription. Do you see the problem?
Well, here's the problem. No matter what I write, the state's, at this point now, the state's got to send. I could say you were the sweetest peach in the world, and they're going to say they hate peaches. Okay?
That's true.
So this is why when earlier before...
That's the problem.
That's the problem. And that's why earlier before when I told you I can't be involved in any legal situations.
I tried to get you off the hook and file the motion to quash. You know what? That judge doesn't even care. You are not even supposed to be made to testify, according to Oregon law. It says, shall not make the social worker testify.
Unless there's an investigation.
No, it says unless you are doing the investigative work. Like if you are the social worker doing the investigation, or I come in here and say, I'm beating my kid. It's you.
That's up to them to interpret, though. We're not lawyers.
I know. What the point is it doesn't matter. I talked to a lawyer.
If that were 100% true.
He said this is all crap.
If there were, yeah, but if there were, well, okay.
He is a very good attorney, too, here. He's been practicing for over 30 some years here.
That was the other thing, too. If this were that critical and that important, representing yourself was not the brightest idea.
You know what? The attorney I just saw over 37 years, it wouldn't matter. It would have still gone the same way. I had just been out $1,000. So.
Well, the attorney, if you had an attorney, hopefully the attorney would have said the right thing, which is, it's too soon.
That's how it would help me. Yes, because they know the political workings, they know what they're doing, but not in the courtroom. Or he would be able to help me do a better appeal. But the way this guy is talking, and he knows the state guy personally, so they've been duking it out since the 70s. So that was interesting. It just seems to me to be a political thing.
Well, and here's the problem.
And that they've got their way of doing things, and that the law necessarily does not line up to the way it works. And this is an attorney who's been practicing it for 30 plus years saying, the way I'm saying it, yes, the law is this way, but it does not always pan out that way in the court, basically because they don't care.
But here's the problem.
So I was like, I'm doing.
You always think, you've got all these people saying, no, and then one person says yes, and say, aha, one person said yes.
No, he's not the only person. He's not on my side. He's just saying this is the way it works.
But my point
the attorney at Women's Space said the same thing.
This is more activity, more whirlwind.
I'm not doing any whirlwind. I'm just getting advice from attorneys.
Yeah, see, that's the problem.
Which was good for me to get advice. I did this, just to understand that.
As Dr. Phil would say, how's that working for you?
No, it is working for me. They're not telling me to do what I've done.
Do you have the
You're
kids?
just kind of confused.
You don't have the kids, though.
No, that's not what they were advising me on getting the kids. I was trying to get advice for them on how the system is working, how it works generally, getting information. So
what's next? What's the next step for you?
I don't know. What I have seen from doing all my research, they have, and this is what I suspected anyway, even before I went to the court and did all this, even before the judge said this is too soon, I suspect this anyway. They have like federal timelines where they have like a year and a half to keep kids. They don't have to do anything. They have a year and a half. So it's like I already knew this. It's not a big shock to my system, that the judge was like, oh, it's only been 10 months. And so that's the kind of, information that I'm getting from doing my research and talking to the attorneys and things like that. It's not, there's nothing that's going to get me the kids back. Well, it's just all about time.
Possibly.
So that's all there is.
Possibly.
They want time.
Possibly.
I think they want the maximum time. That's what this last attorney said that I talked to. And that's what I suspected from day one.
Possibly.
Just because they can.
Well, again, here's the problem again. Whether it's time or not, are you right about the time? Yeah, most likely. The state
Because they don't have to give the kids back. So why would they?
Then why fight?
I didn't. I filed a motion for a review.
That is fighting. That is fighting. That is fighting.
I guess it is. But to me, it was
It's
at
whirlwind.
the time.
It's activity. It's more nails in your coffin to the state saying, look, she doesn't know how to sit still.
Right. I get that.
No, you don't get that.
Yes,
right.
I do get it. I get that.
You can't say you get it, and a few weeks ago didn't get it.
It's not a few weeks ago. I filed a freaking motion 4 months ago. That's what you don't get.
Yes, but you.
It was 4 months ago.
You could have canceled it.
No, I don't want to have canceled it.
See, that's exactly that's my point.
Right, but you're not understanding it. I got information this way. I had no information before this hearing. I had zero information as to what they wanted, what I was supposed to do, and what it was going to take to get the kids back. That's what you're not getting. That's what was making me crazy.
Well, according to your own words, it's time. And you knew that before, and it wasn't a surprise.
No, I suspected that before. That was my guess. All right? So the wealth of information I have now that I filed the motion is I have the child attorney's position, I have the state's position, I have all of their angling where they brought all these people in. I got more information than I would have had. I got information about the kids. I got their position on my mental illness for you guys and what they tried to do with you. And this is stuff I did not have before. So it does help me. Even though I created the whirlwind and all that crap, plus I have a clear idea and understanding of how they feel about Juan and my relationship with Juan. And now everything is completely clear. As before, I was in the dark. I would continue to probably make all these mistakes. Plus, I didn't know they were stalking me and taking pictures of me. I wouldn't have known that either, David. They'd still be stalking me and I wouldn't know it. So the point is now I can take all the stuff that I learned from creating this storm, or whirlwind you call it. I got all their positions now. I've got the child attorney's position, and I've got the caseworker's position, and And now I can take that knowledge
Mhm.
and put it into what am I going to do now
Mhm.
and move forward to get my kids back. That's the positive you take out of it.
Here's the problem, and I'm not a lawyer, but let's say the year and a half or whatever the timeline is comes up, and the judge says, well, normally it would be a year and a half, but there are some extenuating circumstances in this case. For example, the thing that you do on December 5th or whatnot, and all that.
I think if I do nothing from now until then, they won't have anything else to blame on. That's the thing.
Well, but here's the problem.
They like to use these new things that come up and say, haha, look, here's something. Here's an email she sent last month.
But you have another problem. You've got a 9-month journey ahead of you. Ish.
What are you talking about? This whole pregnancy thing? That baby is due in end of May, probably talking about the end of May. So the point is that isn't really a dream. I've been there before. This is my 6th baby. So just like I was telling the child attorney this morning, that's her concern too. Even Sorensen testified that alone is not a reason. Because the child attorney's all over that.
Alone, yes. But we're not looking at things in isolation.
Yes, I got that.
No,
I get that. I get it.
See, and here's okay.
No, I get it, trust me.
You and I don't talk about the personality disorder stuff because that's not why you're here. But let me tell you how they're looking at it from the personality perspective. When they talk about a personality disorder, they talk about, okay.
Well, wait a minute. You weren't there. Sorensen said he did not have enough information to diagnose me with that. It's crap. They don't have a personality disorder. Number one, he didn't even know.
I'm not saying whether you do or not. I'm just telling you what the perspective is about personality disorders.
Whatever. It shouldn't even be in the situation because Sorensen even agreed he didn't have enough information. He just diagnosed me with that. Then Whiteley took it. Now put it on my medical record because they wanted me to have that. Well, you don't understand. The first trial, the attorney was saying I had that. He's an attorney. He was just saying, well, weren't you diagnosed with this? I'm like, no, I wasn't. He was like, well, what if I told you that your actions during this trial, I believe you have borderline personality disorder. And this is an attorney saying that my actions during a trial. Do you understand this distress? He's not a mental health person. So what he did was then talk to Sorensen and said, hey, no, he wanted me to have it. This is what they did. You don't understand. I've read thousands of cases here. Everybody, a personality disorder. Everybody. So then they can say that you can't have your kids back because of this personality disorder. They now have a petition against Lon for mental illness. They're giving him a personality disorder too. And they're going to say that's why you can't have your kids. This is just what they do. So the point is I'm not even going to argue with it. That's what I've decided. It's like, you know what? If they want to label me, let them do it, right? I'm still getting the same treatment. I'm going to go to DBT, right? So why argue with it? That's what I decided. Because I think that gets me into problems, like when I want to debate.
When you want to debate, you get into problems.
So I've decided, I'm going to go to Whiteley. I'm not going to argue it. Even though Sorensen testified, and the other person, Dr. Myers, lawn psychiatrist, said is usually long-standing. You need lots more information. They have no information for my adolescence. I was married for 8 years before I met Lon. Perfectly good relationships with everybody. I don't have a problem with interpersonal relationships or whatever. So the point is I'm just not going to argue with it. That's what I decided.
Keep in mind, though, if you say, I won't argue, but secretly I will argue inside of myself, it's going to come across.
I'm not. I said I'm doing the same treatment. I'm going to DBT, right? What else do you do for supposed personality
You're not good at hiding your emotions. You're not.
I'm not.
You're not.
Maybe that's why I don't lie. That could be. I decided a long time ago never to lie. Because it was just bad. I was a bad liar.
If I had to say the issues that you've got right now, one, the impulsivity. That gets you into problems more often than you realize.
No, I do realize it. Trust me. I had been working with Patty Bear, and I love her. We're doing individual DBT skills together. She runs the group too, options. And I'm doing these little mood charts about actions and doing a little thing. And I'm doing breathing. And I'm actually learning a lot from that. I have not written a lot of nasty emails that I would have written since I started working with Patty. So, now, trust me, I do know. I know. I'm aware of a lot of my problems. And I'm not in denial about them.
But here's the thing.
It's like,
An alcoholic who suddenly, I'm not talking about the alcoholic for your case, but in general, using as an example, an alcoholic who says, okay, I haven't had a drink for a month or 2 months, Give them 2 years and then ask me.
What does that have to do with anything? I'm not saying I'm
See,
cured.
we're arguing again.
I know, but I'm just
We're
so
arguing
confused.
again. We're arguing again.
That's because I'm lost about your analogy. I'm not saying I'm never going to have a problem again. Like, I never said that. I just said I realize how it gets me into trouble.
What you're
and
doing,
DBT is helping me.
yes,
I'm
what
not
you're
saying
doing is
never
you're
going to
saying,
do it.
I know you're not saying you're never going to do it, but what you're saying is that was then, this is now. But then was not even 6 months ago.
No, I'm saying now I'm more aware of how to work on it. I'm not saying it's cured and I'm going to stop it. I'm just saying there are a lot of emails I could have sent that didn't send. I'm saying it's better than it was. That's what I'm trying to say.
Better than it was is good. Still doing it is bad. That's the catch.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if you didn't have the DHS involved in this, there wouldn't be such a pressure on this to say you can't afford this. This is not a luxury you can afford. This whirlwind, this challenge, this.
Well, I get that, and I'm not doing anything. I'm being very calm with everything. So, and I've cut off all contact with Juan. Even though he's still trying to contact me, it's very confusing. So I've been going.
How could he? Well, let me ask you this: if you cut off contact with the state, I'm just going to totally talk to you from what the state might say. I don't care if they're right or wrong. If the state says it, it's a problem. The state's going to say, "Oh, you cut off all contact with him." Yeah, but he's still trying to contact me. How do you know he's still trying to contact me? Well,
he dropped off flowers at my doorstep. He called me from a stranger's phone. He sent me an email after I blocked him from one email to a different email account. That's how. I'm not contacting him.
They're going to say,
He's
how
trying
did
to contact
he get
me.
that other email? They're going to say,
Because I've had that for years. I have 2 email accounts.
then that's not switching an email to protect your privacy.
Oh, no. I still have to accept emails from him because we're on the case. So he still sends them. I blocked him from one that just says, it sends like an autoresponder. And then he sent one to another email account that I just ignore. But the point is I've already told the caseworker about these other contacts.
Well, as long as he's doing this, though, you're in danger. So let me ask you this. Why haven't you issued a restraining order then?
Because he hasn't gone to a level where I think it's danger. I mean,
It's
when
dangerous
he called
for-
me from the person's phone, I said, do not do this again. I don't agree with this. I think it's because he did not understand that I was going to be really permanently cutting off contact. I think he thinks that there was going to be some skirting around it. Because he was like, well, this is somebody else's phone. So when I explained to him that I wasn't going to do that.
He's a schemer. He's a schemer.
Right, so I told him I'm not doing that, and he had also sent me an email about using untraceable phones to talk to him.
Ridiculous.
Something like that. I said, no, I'm not going to do that either. We're just going to cut off all contact. I don't understand why the no contact is so hard for him. It's very confusing. But I talked to Brooke, who's my caseworker, and I told her about those instances. I'm like, look, I'm just telling you, I had nothing to do with this. He came, dropped off stuff at my door.
So let me ask you this.
Door.
Once you have the child, how are you going to prevent DHS from taking that child?
What are you talking about? What child?
You're pregnant.
Oh. That is May,
That child.
June. I have some time to figure out what their problem is. I think, and I'm trying to think about this from a non-paranoia, schizoid type of thinking, because the paranoia part of me wants to go, these people are evil, they're out to get me, they're going to take the baby, right? Okay. So I'm trying to think of it like logically. Okay, I try to turn that off. Because that could just turn into a big fear, depression, paranoia thing. And I try to go, okay, think about this logically. If you don't have any mental health crises, this seems to be their biggest problem, right? If you don't have any contact with Juan, right? What would be their reason 5-6 months from now to take the baby? That's the question that I give myself, to try to steer my brain away from the paranoia. These people are evil. They're going to take my babies and adopt them all out. So that, that's a part of it. So I try to go, well, if you're sane and doing everything you're supposed to do, I start DBT group in January. Continue doing what you're doing. Stop doing anything except for therapy and DBT. Stay off the radar. That's my plan. And stay mentally sane. I think as long as I can stay mentally sane, they should not have a reason to insert themselves into my life that way.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we have a Citizens Review Board review in February.
The Citizens Review Board of...
The Citizens Review is like a board, they review what DHS is doing, what their plan is.
Mm-hmm.
So, that helps the paranoia too, because I will know what they are presenting to the board in February, before the baby gets here, hopefully. So, I will be able to get more of an idea of what their thing is. Seems to be the whole mental health thing. We want to make sure you're getting treatment. That's what Jed said too. You haven't been long enough in treatment. It's so frustrating. But it's like I've never been in treatment before all these years. I don't know. So that's kind of what I try to stay focused on. That generally they have to have some sort of reason. And right now their reason is it hasn't been long enough. So the baby won't be here for at least 5 months. So I have some time. So as long as I can stay sane for the next 5 months, do everything I'm supposed to be doing, I honest to God don't see a reason why they would, A, be also keeping the kids, and B, want to take the baby. I mean, there would have to be, you would think, logically, like a reason, right? I try to stay out of the paranoia.
Well, here's the dilemma.
I don't know.
You've got to stay out of the paranoia for your mental health. But you got to take ownership for all the chaos that you've kicked up and the dirt you've kicked up to this point. And what that has done is that has introduced some unknown variables into this equation.
Right.
We don't know what the reaction is going to be. We might know the letter of the law. We don't know how they're going to interpret it. We don't know what the judge is going to say.
Yeah, I know.
By kicking up this whirlwind of activity, appearing again on the Dr. Phil show was not the brightest idea. Not the brightest idea.
I know. You didn't understand the context and what.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
It wasn't a good idea. It's just the whole context and how it was presented.
Doesn't matter.
It's so messed up.
I know. I'm
So
gonna give you the party line answer. Doesn't matter.
yes, I know.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
Whirlwind. Dust.
It seems to me that because of the show and because of Lon's reaction to Andrew, the way that everybody has now, it seems to me that was the biggest takeaway for them. Like the parent trainer, every time I see her, she's like, and then she testified to it that she just couldn't believe the way Lon was to Andrew. He was demeaning. He had no empathy. And then last time I saw her, she said all he had to do was apologize to Andrew. And then it seems to me that the takeaway from the show was just that, was the attitude toward Andrew, and that's something that was like a big thing now, because it wasn't that way before. I mean, before, the parent trainer was like completely objective. Now it's like, because Lon couldn't apologize to Andrew, they took away community visits, and she's like, I don't even want to be in public with Lon, and if half the things that said about Lon is true, then Minny, you're messed up for being with him and getting pregnant by him. That's what happened. So that's kind of what the takeaway was. It was just like,
You're missing one important takeaway from that.
I don't know, I just know her takeaway. What?
The important takeaway from that Dr. Phil show is if the state says stand on one leg, you stand on one leg.
Right.
You're not acting as though your primary concern is to get your kids back. You're acting as if your primary concern is freedom of expression.
Right.
For example, I don't have an opinion one way, I kind of have an opinion, but I'm going to hit you with what the state's going to hit you with right now, okay? So I'm playing devil's advocate in one sense.
Right.
So bear with me.
All right.
So yes or no, and no answers, no explanations, no, well, yes, but.
Oh, okay.
This is going to be a yes or no.
Okay.
Are those videos still up on YouTube?
Nope. I deleted them months ago. So no.
Not a single one is on YouTube.
No.
You're sure?
No, I have my ones one's about mental illness I made years ago. Yeah, I have 3 about mental illness that I made years ago.
So none of the hater videos are up. Are you still blogging?
I will send a blog out on November, but my blogs are normal, they're positive. So,
Okay.
yeah.
But here's the problem.
I haven't had time.
Even the sweetest people, like I said, even the sweetest
I'm not
people.
the author of the blogs. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, when you're writing things online, I don't care whether it's blogs.
Oh, you mean Twitter or something? I'm not doing that.
Okay.
I'm not tweeting. So I'm not on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have Twitter up, but I haven't Twitter.
Have you requested your results to be removed from the search engines?
No, because I'm not tweeting. It doesn't bother me.
Once it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah, I don't know. You're gonna delete it.
Well, you have to file a motion with the search engines. You have to go through
I just figured if I don't write anything, there's nothing new. So
that's true.
So I'm
That's
not
true.
writing anything new.
Okay.
So I have stopped doing that, and I deleted all the YouTube videos, and
So now,
they're gone. You can't
so-
put them back up in.
bottom line question they're going to ask: are you and Lon married or not married?
I filed for divorce.
Okay.
That's up to the court to figure out.
Okay. So when did you file for divorce?
I filed in July, and then I just filed last week to amend it to change for sole custody. Because before I didn't specify sole custody. So I did that. That's done.
And what are your plans? Right now, your plans for going back to school, your plans for support, but now you're going to be a single parent. How are
I
you
have
going
been
to?
a single parent the whole time I've been with Lon. That's what nobody gets. So the guy did nothing for these children. I did everything. So for me, it's not a big leap. You know, it's not like I had like this wonderful help. Now my first marriage was great. All right, we were like partnership. Like he would watch the children, I would work, and we'd switch off, and that was a partnership. Okay, Lon did nothing. I did everything, and then sometimes when Andrew was around, he would help out a little bit. And then when Andrew was gone, like when he shot himself in 2012, then it was just like me. So I did everything, and then I went down Lon too. Okay, let's make everybody doesn't get Lon is a big another child. So
This is what. This
another kid to take care of.
Okay, so let me stop us here. This is why you have a problem with the state. I'm not saying you have a problem. I'm saying you have a problem with the state, and that is, I said quite clearly, it's the whirlwind that freaks them out.
Right.
I said, I'm going to ask you some questions. I want a yes or no. No explanations, no defenses. You spend most of your time defending or
I'm explaining.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's your problem.
Okay. Well, how am I supposed to work on that?
If they say stand on one foot, you stand on one foot. If
I
they
am
say
doing that though.
no. I even in this little thing was not actually me trying to point things out to you. I was trying to show you the problem you have with sitting still.
Okay.
When I say, "Are you guys still together?" I want to hear either, "Yes, we're still together, and that's a problem, and I don't know what to do," or "No, we're not together, and yeah," and I want to see some insight that, okay, not all my choices have been right, some of my choices have been
Why do you do
good,
that? I've told them that already. They don't care.
but when you defend,
I don't defend. I've told them all kinds of things, and then I might explain when the only thing I defend
when
is
you
this whole mental health
explain,
thing.
when you
I
explain,
explain to them.
when you explain, you defend.
I don't know. How can I not defend my mental health? That it would be worse when you're being abused and living in an abusive situation, and when you're drunk. That's obvious.
Because when the state, because the risk is, if this were just the state having their opinion, that'd be one thing. The risk is your kids.
So then, well,
So
no, I
rather than-
also told them I will go on meds too. I never had a problem with meds. I'm not defending not going on meds or doing what they say. That's where the confusion gets.
But we're doing more explaining.
Confusion.
See, this, and I don't care either way.
Right.
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you some practice sessions here to show you the more you explain away.
Right.
Have you ever heard that line in Shakespeare? Methinks the lady doth protest too much.
Yes. Why are you somebody else say that to me?
The
Yes,
more,
he did. Why does that keep coming up to me? The attorney just said that to me.
because the
What is
more
it about that?
in the play, they said to the lady, "Did you do? You know, did you do it or did you not? You know, it's like those murder mysteries. Did you do it or did you not? Yes, no." Instead, "What do you mean? I was over here. I did this." And they said, "We think you're protesting a little too much for somebody who's innocent.
Okay.
You are.
Okay,
You have such an energy that it's an asset. It's not an asset to you right now. It
But
is
how do I
the
work
Bible.
on that? That's your job. You're supposed to tell me what am I supposed to do.
Okay, well,
I need practice sessions of
you need,
I'm
the,
not
you,
defending?
you need the DBT, number one. Okay?
yeah, I like that. That's,
Okay, you
that's
need the DBT.
interesting.
Okay? The DBT is structured, and they're very specific on rules. Okay? They have clear, concise, and I don't know how that works out, but DBT in general.
Well, I have
a
homework book with Patty,
Mm-hmm.
and I work on little work things every day. Like I'm supposed to be mindful of my emotions and then write down. I'm supposed to do one emotion a day and write down the thing. And then I bought a DBT diary. And then I bought another DBT skills workbook. So I'm supposed to be working on those. But it's very interesting. It's like that.
Well, what you have to do
I
is
like Patty.
you have to work on this. You're right about the paranoia thing. You can't afford it, even if you're 100% right.
Right.
You can't afford
I
it.
try not to because I think it's going to lead me into acting irrationally.
And the other thing you need to do is you need to learn to not explain in the point that you're defending. I'm not saying that you shouldn't explain. You have a right to explain. You have a right. But right now the situation is dire.
Right.
The risks outweigh the convenience of having the rights.
Right. So I have to work on that. Trust me, I have been better.
I know.
I'm telling you, I had a meeting with DHS, and Patty helped me prepare for it, and I was very good, and I did not explain or defend the whole meeting. You have been proud of me. And they talked and gave me their information, and I listened, and I was very calm. And that's the meeting where they're like, you need to cut off all contact with Juan, and that's the one piece you need to do. You made lots of progress, but this is the final piece that we'd like to see. And it was a 2-hour meeting, and I did not defend for 2 hours. And I did not have my excitability going on. I was very calm for 2 whole hours.
Now here's the other thing you have to be aware of. That's good.
Yeah.
You-
I didn't have any caffeine that day.
Well, you've also admitted to me, that's true, you like this rush of the inspiration.
That is not true. That's just a part of my personality. There's no liking about it. I tried to kill it with booze, so you're wrong. I don't like it. That's why I was a drunk, because I tried to kill
You told
it.
me, when I talked about
Not true.
the moves, you told me point blank, you said, but I like it.
I know, but that's the way I think you're just confused. I said I don't like it when I take the meds because it makes me like zzz all the time. I didn't say I like that. I'm saying this is my personality. My dad says I was this way since I was born. That's why I tried to lower it with booze, and I cut all caffeine out. If I liked it, I wouldn't do those things. I would have been a coke or meth head instead of being a depressant.
And again, if this were just a simple choice of a personality choice, an expression choice, freedom of expression, absolutely you're right. But the risk is your kids now.
Right? That's why I'm telling you I don't have a problem with it. That's what you keep forgetting. Anthony's the one that told me not to go on meds in July and August. So, and it made sense to me. I was like, yes, you're right. I'm stopping drinking, I'm getting out of relationship, I'm having all these issues. And I told you at the beginning too, we should get a baseline, and you agreed too. You forget all this. It goes back to me not wanting to be on meds.
See, and that's the other problem too. You can't group DHS or the psychiatrist or me or anyone else and say, well, they keep doing this and they do this and they do. That does not come across well.
I'm telling you, I understand this part.
You understand this, but you keep doing it.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you, I'm
Just
getting.
do this now.
That's because I'm in here with you on a real terms.
I know, but we need to work on this.
Oh, okay.
We need to work on this. This is important.
All right.
If you lose your kids, you will never forgive yourself. In fact, what will end up happening, I hate to tell you, you won't have to forgive yourself because you'll blame everybody else.
I don't blame people. That's the problem. I don't blame people. I do not. I don't have any blame. I'm presenting different points of view. That's what I do. I say, this is why I was thinking in this way at this time. This was my thought process. And I think that's a problem for people because maybe normal other people don't sit around and go, let me explain to you my thought process. It's not blaming or defending. I'm saying this is where I was in my brain at this time. And then when I went to see Whiteley in my brain on that day, I was thinking, gee, I just found out yesterday I'm pregnant. Oh, this is crap. Okay, I'm not going to talk about medications today because I'm shocked. And so that's just me saying, this is where my mind frame was. Meanwhile, Whiteley's like, why didn't you tell me? It's like, why am I going to come tell you the first day I meet you? But I just find something out that's like mind-boggling to me myself. It's like, that's the thing, that's my struggle. It's just like, I feel like if there was more time spent understanding my thought process, it would be easier to understand me. I get upset when people just go and guess about me and my thought process.
But they don't owe you anything. No offense. Now,
Right.
I need to point it out. The reality is, they're bigger than you. There's more of them.
I know.
They don't owe you a damn thing.
I know, and
And
realizing
it's unfair. I agree.
I know, I'm realizing.
But you're stuck in the same situation. It's perceptions now. This is
Right.
a game of perceptions.
I know. I always had a problem there because people perceive me as being different. That's always been the case. That's been the case since I was like this little.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to fix that.
Let me tell you about a guy that went to court. This is a historic case. This is a guy that did a lot of research in mental health and mental illness and whatnot. And he ended up going away to prison in Switzerland because he didn't show any remorse.
Kind of like what Juan's doing. Not showing any empathy
Yeah.
for anyone. And yeah, there's no, I don't have a problem with empathy. My problem is I show too much emotion. That's why I get screwed. I cry all over the place. I'm excitable. How do I erase that? That's the problem.
You can't erase it. It's been done. All you can do is do from this point forward. But every time that you we reset the counter back to zero.
Right. That's the problem.
And that's the problem. And here's what DBT is used for primarily. DBT is primarily very useful for people who have a hard time controlling their emotions and holding themselves accountable to consequences.
I don't think I have a problem with consequences.
You are very you
I'm
like to
pretty sure.
you like to externalize. When things happen, it's other people. It's
I haven't blamed anybody. Who I blamed in this whole situation? Name one person I blamed.
DHS, the judge.
No, I blame DHS because A, they didn't serve us the right way. If they had served us, we wouldn't be in Vancouver.
Doesn't matter.
That's a fact, not
Doesn't
blaming.
matter.
How is that blaming?
Doesn't matter.
They agreed.
Your
they should have
kids.
done it properly.
Imagine, what I want you to do is when you feel defensive, when you feel like you've got to explain, I want you to visualize your kids
I know that,
are
but
being suspended over a pit of lava.
I got it, but I'm not understanding the blame part. That's what I don't get.
The more that you talk, the more the rope is going to decay.
But when I'm throwing myself under the bus, even at
And the rope
trial,
is decaying
calling
further.
myself I'm a bad mother,
And the
how is
rope is
that
decaying further.
Okay. Okay. All right. So how do you not externalize at all? I think that's impossible when you're a human being and you're trying to explain a situation.
Well, this is an unusual situation in that you've got a legal issue. Okay? You don't have the luxury to say, well, but it's my right to do this. I need to do this. I want to.
Right.
Right now, you're perceived as the big bad wolf. Okay?
Yes, I get that.
You need to do anything you can to not make them say, oh, big bad wolf.
Right.
Even if you say, well, no, this technically was okay. And I agree with you. A lot of the things you're doing, not a problem. But you are in the legal arena.
Right.
This is not a social group.
Right. So.
How you are perceived, how you act, they have dire consequences.
Right.
Dire.
Yeah, I know.
So
I think the problem is
mhm.
that I did not understand that my communication with these people was just harming me. Any communication at all, I swear they use. I swear. So I did not get the gravity of that. I mean, I get it now, and so that's why, actually at the last meeting, we agreed that we weren't going to be back and forth emailing, we agreed to meet in person. Because my meetings in person go a lot better than they do over the computer. And so I think even the caseworker was surprised. I think she expected something different too, because she's a new caseworker. I'm getting my old caseworker back in 2 weeks. So I have no problem in person with people. It
Well,
was
here's what you need to do.
over the internet.
You're doing your DBT diary. One of the things you need to write down is, you need to do two things. One, how do I better visualize my kids as being And I don't care how you do it. They're suspended from a pit of lava, and the more I talk, the more the rope falls apart.
Okay.
Something like that. Something that basically gets the point to you that where you say, I don't have to understand it to do it.
Right.
You know, I don't have to understand the ins and the outs to be able to.
Yeah. Why didn't you say that sooner? I should have been working on this a long time ago.
Even the first Dr. Phil episode, they said that quite clearly.
What?
The first Dr. Phil episode, they said you need to stop doing all this stuff.
I don't remember. But
Well,
the
exactly.
point
But
I
rather than saying, I don't remember. Oh, did I miss that? Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
I missed
Rather than saying that, you say, oh, whatever. I don't remember that.
All right.
And that comes across.
I wasn't
as,
in a place to accept advice at that point. Honestly, I was in denial about a lot of things back then. I mean, seriously, I didn't understand the effects that my relationship with my husband had on my kids back then.
Mm-hmm.
It just took me recently, over the last maybe 4 months, to get that. To go, oh, this was really an unhealthy environment for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Not just Andrew. It was unhealthy for everyone. And this was abusive. This was if continued on, toxic situation for everybody. So I was not there. This is me getting this recently. Even like now, having no contact with Juan, I'm going, oh my God, I feel so much healthier with just cutting off phone communication with this guy. You don't even get this. He calls me names. I have these emails because I cut off contact and wouldn't talk to him. He sent me one saying, you're just a really sick woman. What kind of human being would want to talk about what we're going to get the kids for Christmas? I mean, it's just like, then when I have it in writing now, as opposed to him just telling it to me, I can go back and look at it and go, this is what I live with, you know? It's just like, I mean, it's like for somebody to call you names like every day.
But here's the problem.
And so that's what I'm realizing. I didn't get how much it hurt to be called stupid and psycho and nuts. And you nutcase and you can't do anything right. I didn't get it. I understand how that was destroying me for over a decade.
Right now what we need to do is we need to do two things. One, the DBT support group is good for you regardless of the legal situation. You need the structure. You need the structure. There are some important skills I think you can learn from that.
I guess.
The other thing is, right now you are in the legal arena, and it's a beast with multiple heads. Nobody goes into it likes it, except for the lawyers who work there, and the judges who work there. It's like living with a pack of wolves. They're territorial, they're tribal.
I know.
You have to be careful, and you have to realize it's all about perception. Yeah.
I know, and that's the problem. The judge said what you said. How you said, what did you say in the beginning of our meetings? They don't know, you make them nervous, what are you going to do? That's what the judge said, basically. He explained something about a rabbit hole with a light or something, and you guys are obfuscating, and we don't know what to think or what to expect or something like
You're
that.
the Tasmanian devil. You're whirlwind. It scares people.
Well, here's what I don't get.
No matter if you get it or not.
Why can't it be clear? Why can't I get to them to see the clear picture of the situation? How do I do that?
What do you mean, get them to
Well,
see?
it's just
You
like
mean get them to understand, to see your point of view?
No, for me to get a clear picture, I know what they want, right? But to answer their questions, so it's not so confusing, so I'm not such a big mystery. Why am I such a big mystery? I don't get it.
Because when they talk to you, they're saying, we don't know if she's going to react. If suddenly after this meeting we're going to get 10,000 emails, if we're going to get 10,000 phone calls, if we're going to get 10,000 subpoenas, suits, countersuits, accusations that we're all just out to get her. They're terrified, I'm exaggerating, but they're terrified to interact with you. Realistically what they are is they're going, oh great, there she is again. Because you stand out as different from every other, and they deal with a lot of people. You
Right.
stand out as somebody who's a whirlwind
Right.
of unpredictability. And it
All
doesn't
right.
work.
So I have to work on being.
You have to work on
Make everything
visualizing the
else.
kids as
Okay.
visualizing the kids as the goal. Number one.
Right.
Number two, realizing that the more you explain it away right now. If this weren't a legal situation, it wouldn't be so much of an issue. This is a legal situation. We don't have the luxury to say, but we've got to assert your First Amendment rights.
Right.
We
I
don't
know
have that
that.
luxury.
I know, because that just annoys them. They don't care. I don't have any rights at this point because I'm a child abuser, so I don't have any rights. So, and that's okay. I realize that. I just did not understand that none of their laws and rules. It's just upsetting to me.
We have one major problem, and that is, I am now essentially through the poison tree, or whatever they call that in legal.
Why are you through the poison tree? They love you. They want you to write more nutcasey notes about me.
That's why I'm through the poisonous tree for you.
Seriously. Why?
Because anything I write, it doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. Now they've pulled it into a legal situation. Remember before when you talked about subpoena, and I said I can't do that. The moment I step into legal court, I can't be your therapist anymore. Suddenly, everything I do is going to be used against
They
you.
are doing that to everybody. That's what you don't get.
Yeah.
They're subpoenaing everybody, whether you're my therapist or not, whatever
Yeah.
doctor I go to.
I know.
But at the same time, they're requiring me to go to a therapist or I can't fix that. Do you see how that works?
I know.
So it's like, if I don't have a therapist, then you can't go to DBT. Oh, you can go to DBT, you can't get kids. But then we're going to subpoena all the records anyway from everywhere you go. Do you see how that works?
The problem is once you pull a therapist into the legal mix, the therapist suddenly has their alliances pulled. Because when I talk, it doesn't matter whether I say she's the best person in the world or not,
Right.
they use it against you. And now suddenly my words can cause potential damage. My notes can cause potential damage.
I don't know.
It doesn't work.
I don't see there's anything to do about that.
Well, we need,
You know, I mean, it's not like I'm coming in here saying I'm gonna, go murder somebody. I mean, what's the worst that can happen is this will already happen now, right? Is, gee, Lecter says you need meds, why aren't you on meds? I mean, we get that. So I go on meds. Okay, so what else is there to do? Like, how do you combat that situation?
here's what you need to do. You need to go to two therapists. You need to go to one therapist that you tell the state, I'm going to this therapist, and you are as compliant as all get out with that therapist. And then you need to go to another therapist that you don't tell them about.
Right.
And that's the one that you let your emotions out and you process and you do the work.
I was thinking about doing that, actually.
Because you need that. You
Yeah,
need
you
that
said
privacy.
that
You
too.
need
I know.
that privacy.
That's what I was thinking about too. So I did make some phone calls.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I've got the DBT referrals, and I've got
That's right.
I've got the link. I've got the link to the other therapists in Lane County who are also DBT.
You do?
Yeah, I've got a list for you. Okay. Okay.
All right.
You need to get established with two therapists. Okay.
I only have one on the list
Okay.
right now. Why can't you be my therapist?
Because I've been involved in the legal situation. Everything I do now is tainted.
Oh my gosh. I don't know about hated.
It's a dilemma. I mean, that's why therapists you've got two kinds of therapists. Therapists who just talk the talk. And they go to court and they say their things, but they talk the talk, and you do what you gotta do. And that's the proof of the pudding. And then you've got the therapists who do the hard work. Those are the ones that you don't want to tell other people about. Because those are the ones that actually matter. It's kind of like, ever seen the movie Hitch?
Yes.
As soon
I remember seeing that.
as they knew about him, what he did, his job, he's out of business. Because it only works if he's under the radar.
Well,
I'm not effective.
alright, if you say so.
So,
Yeah,
let me get
it
you,
should be there.
let me get you the referral form and get you a copy.
I like those shoes. What kind of shoes are those?
These?
They look
No
very
idea.
comfy.
No idea. Okay. Okay, so I need signature and date here. Today's the 16th. And I'm going to photocopy it for you. It's got the links on the top. It's got the DBT thing.
I have called around this whole county, so I wonder if you have any different rules.
Yeah, the links are up there. Let me get, and then, so it's very specifically, I say, options group, DBT. If unavailable, here's a list of DBT groups, not just therapists, but groups in the area. If unavailable, here's a list of the therapists in Lane County.
Cool.
And then if from all of that, you are unable to find somebody, from all of
I
that.
had an appointment with someone.
Okay.
I think they're called directions or something.
Yep.
Do you know anything about them, or are they good, or?
They're good. It makes sense. I normally send people there that are employee assistance programs. They do all sorts of county counseling. They are effective. So.
Alright, so, and then there's someone I called, she's not coming back until January. Oh, am I going to give you a card? I should give you a card. Okay. The problem is my insurance, but luckily, I did find that Directions takes my insurance. And that was good. But yeah, I think it's just, Patty said the same thing. She said, you need a therapist that, you know, because I said, this date's the fly on the wall in my therapy sessions. How right is that?
Exactly. That's the dilemma. You need public and undercover.
I know.
You need public and undercover.
I have to get your card. It's really, seriously.
Sign with your finger there.
Are you giving me that one to options? Or is that the one I signed?
Yeah, I'm going to get that here.
I actually had Whiteley send one too, because I thought you were on another vacation. So I called Whiteley. He was like, can you do this over left and right? Can you go on vacation again? That's when you're like, hey, your voicemail made me defensive. That's because I was having a bad week. It probably just came across because I was sitting out on mute, and it was just a bad week. Alright.
Okay.
You're not going anywhere. You'll be here. This whole thing is over if I want to come back.
Yep. Yep. I'm here for the next 30 days, so no problem.
Alright.
Okay.
This is what I need for options, right? Oh,
Yep.
awesome. You want this open or close?
You can leave it.
Okay. Okay, see you later.